Hello, what is up guys, and welcome to Should You Play Shadow of Mordor? Well, should you play Shadow of Mordor? That is of course the question. Well, basically what we've got here is a Lord of the Rings-esque game in the sense that it's set in the same universe, obviously Middle-earth, but it's very different to the sort of stuff you'd expect if you just expected it just to be just a normal Lord of the Rings game. In the options menu, we have subtitles. It's actually in the videos menu as captions. That threw me off a little bit. Other than that, as you can see, it's running off a GTX 980 with 4GB of VRAM. We're running at 1920 by 1080, so that is of course 1080p. In the advanced settings, the only thing here that I can't seem to find is AA, anti-aliasing. That must be under something mixed in. Yeah. But as we go on to in a minute, it doesn't really make too much difference because it is a very good looking game. Texture quality is the thing that got everyone talking because you need 6GB or greater for the Ultra Texture Pack, and that is available as a download, a free download on Steam under the DLC tab. So I'm only running it at high, but apparently Ultra is not really that different anyway. I haven't given it a go. It is, I think it is about just under 6GB of file space as well, and to be honest, I don't think it's going to make too much difference as other people have reported. So let's jump into the game and show you what it's all about. There are two modes, there's story modes and Trials of War. Trials of War makes sense once you've actually played the story mode because it's kind of more of the same except that you're killing more captains and war chiefs. So essentially what this game is, it is not an RPG. You get given your character, it's quite heavily story driven. But it's almost similar to a sort of game maybe like Infamous. I know that must sound a little bit weird in the sense that it's a fairly large open world, but it is not an RPG, but there is a lot of side missions and stuff to do. So immediately you can see that something's very weird. This is because we are now at the moment the spirit inside of a dead ranger. And you can see like the Assassin's Creed style jump there, but the gameplay is actually very similar to that of Batman, and when I say very similar, not quite identical, but if you imagine Batman was this character, it pretty much is identical. You've got a very similar stealth system, you've got a very similar basic attack system, with your basic attacks, you can fall over, and then if you do B, if you're playing on a control pad, then you've got these sort of stun. Then we've also got loads of different side attacks things where you press two different buttons and something will happen. So if you press B and Y, you get the instant execution style takedown, as well as other ones that you can unlock through the menus, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The brutalize thing that you just saw there was a upgraded ability, so I basically just terrorized them and they all flee and run away. So the graphics are pretty phenomenal, I'm not going to lie. I'm quite happy to say it's probably the best looking third person game I've played, and it's quite efficient as well. Obviously this is running on a very high end video card, but I think you'll be quite satisfied with how it looks on a lower end system as well, and it seems to run quite nicely as well. So what we're going to do now is show you basically one of the game mechanics that kind of is one of the whole points of the game really, and that is through, if we go into the menu here, through Sarens Army. And you can see that there are loads of different guys here. A lot of them are dead, that's because I've killed them. Some of them you can see are alive and well, and some of them you can't see at all, they're just outline. Well, basically the system we have here is that we have loads of different troops around the place, different orcs and things like that, and they're led by these leaders here. And whenever one dies, eventually another one will take its place. But you can see they all have different strengths, different weaknesses and different power. And then some of these, like this one here, you see the link is the bodyguard to one of the war chiefs at the back. So the idea really here is we want to take out all the war chiefs, and that will weaken Sarens' army. So in order to actually see all the strengths and weaknesses, you need to actually terrorize and actually interrogate one of their followers, one of like the moles, and then you can find out all these different things here, and then you can plan out an attack and you can go and take him. So you can see this one here can be injured by the combat finishes, and he's vulnerable to mounted beasts. So a good idea is probably to go and attack him from a mounted beast. But before we do that, I'll quickly show you your weapons. You have a sword, you have a bow, and you have a dagger. They are very seamless, and obviously the bow is the main one that you'll switch between, and the sword and the dagger are all switched between automatically. And you can equip these things called runes. Now these runes are things that you get from killing the captains, and they all have different effects. So you can see I've got different ones here, and they all do different things. So you can customize your gameplay to the way you want it by customizing the runes, and the same for each of the weapons. They've all got runes up to 5. If you want to unlock more things like that, then you go into upgrades, and then you go into your attributes. So obviously these are your player attributes, and then you can see you can add more slots here, as well as just generally increase your health, your ammunition, and then your focus, which I will show you in a minute, but that just slows down time while you're aiming your bow. The other thing we have is the ability upgrade system, and that is fairly similar again to the Batman system, but you just get more abilities and things that you can unlock over time. And the higher your power is, you see that little red P at the top, then the next tier gets unlocked, and so on. So let's actually get into the proper gameplay aspect though. So now we're going to do this mission and kill this war chief. There is quite a nice in-depth story as well to the game. All the missions are quite long and quite complex, so I won't actually, that's the execution I was talking about there, nice and brutal. So I won't go too much into the story because that would take a long time, and as you will, well, if I reveal whether you should be playing it or not, if you do play it, it'll be quite nice to keep all that stuff nice and fresh so you can go in. But essentially the story just starts with you actually dying, and then this elf who you don't really know anything about, and he seems to have lost some of his memory as well. I need to get out of here, there's no point. There's no point engaging them. Look, just wait, just wait. So you're kind of just thrown in there really at the deep end, and the story seems to be flowing quite nicely, and I'm very happy to be recommending it just on the story alone. But here is the main sort of gameplay, so we're going to take out one of these war chiefs. There he is.
Our enemy hides behind his shield bearers.
So in order to actually get to the war chief, we've got to kill 5 of his defenders. So to do that, obviously we need to either go in all guns blazing, well not guns, all swords blazing, but then that probably won't really work because they are, well, they outnumber you. So the way we're going to do this is by using stealth. So using this, like similar to detective mode, we found out that one of the captains is here. So obviously he's going to be quite difficult to kill. Not quite as difficult as the war chief, but still quite difficult. We've got one of his guardians here. We can shoot him with the bow. You can see the focus system slowing down the time. That will regenerate over time. So in order to kill his defenders, we're going to have to think about this properly, because if we kill one of them, then he will set off the alarm. What we can do is we can either shoot that fire there, which seems like a good option to do, and we can also release this, which will basically scare them all like that, but we want to shoot up the fire. That didn't really seem to do as much damage as I thought it would, but they haven't actually detected me yet, as you can tell by the yellow icon. If it went red, then it would mean that I had actually, well, I'd been detected. So looking at this, it looks like I might have to go in all guns blazing, but I could take a few of them out with arrows first. It's worth noting that this is a lot easier if you do, of course, use the mouse. And now I've been detected, and that guy there is going for the alarm. I don't believe I've got any arrows left.
Thought you were supposed to be brave.
You can see the character models are very well detailed.
Ran away like a pathetic coward.
Quickly kill him before he does that. Otherwise, they will send loads of reinforcements, and I literally mean loads of them. So you see the combat now is kind of like the free flow system. You've got different guys that have different stats and obviously can be killed in different ways. You've got to kind of try and manage to actually kill them all, but in a way without obviously compromising yourself like I am now. I'm not really that good at this game, I'm not going to lie. And it is definitely more difficult than Batman is to play, bearing in mind that they use a similar system, but Batman is kind of a superhero, so I guess that does kind of make sense. Now they've set off the alarm, so you'll see loads of them will be... That's unfair. Now, when you die like this, you get a chance to redeem yourself. You get 2 chances and then you are dead. Your health won't regen unless you're out of combat, unless you've got a special rune or something that you've added to one of your weapons. This is going to be a tough fight. So the best strategy is to kind of take out the big guys with your special while actually, there you go, the big guy has arrived. Now to kill him, it is going to be very tough. So we probably should have planned this out a little bit better. My approach is just going to go in all guns blazing, see what we can do. He can be stunned like that, which is probably going to be the easiest way to kill him. And he can also be injured by the specials. So actually, he probably shouldn't be too bad to kill. Shouldn't be. So he can't be stunned front on, but he can be stunned from the back. You've also got critical strikes, like you'd probably be used to if you've played Batman. It literally is very similar combat system to Batman, so if you love the Batman system, you're going to like this game. Otherwise, you're not. But combat is definitely way harder because you've got people, way more people trying to throw stuff at you, and that does loads of damage. That's not the guy I want to hit, but okay. So other than that, whereas sometimes you won't hit the guy you want to hit, I actually have to say that the combat is pretty flawless. I can unlock an ability. It's probably not the best time. Have I got him? No. I thought I had.
I will bury my blade in your soul.
There you go. And that quick time prompt thing you saw there. There we go. Done. That's nice and brutal. But the problem is now I've got loads of people on me. But every time you die, you kind of die in the game. So it's not like a respawn system where you almost reload time. Everything carries on. So if you kill if you try and attempt to kill a war chief, and then you fail, then he'll actually get more powerful from your defeat. So now you can see I've killed the war chief, and I've actually got this new rune. So I can go in and equip it. Well, I've only got 3 slots, but I can, if I want to, I can swap it out. So Harbinger of Doom level 16. Not something I want, but okay, not terrible. As for my upgrades, let's have a look at some of the ones I can do. Brace of Daggers, so that's like the Batarang. Very similar. That one I think is the one I want, so I can take out enemy shields. Then we've also got Lethal Shadow Strike. Bang. And then a couple of other ones. But we're going to go for just the Shoulder Charge. I think that's probably the best thing to actually do. And then you've got like loads of documentation on lore and things like that. So now I've actually only got one more guy to kill. I've got the captain I need to kill as well. But as you can see, it's actually quite fun to play. Well, obviously, hopefully you can see that. Because there's loads of different ways you can tackle things. And there's actually quite a lot of stuff to do. And once you've done all the war chiefs and all the captains, then as you probably saw at the very start of this video, there's the other mode where I'm guessing that everyone is just there for the taking and you can practice doing it. And that way you won't have to rely on, restarting the story. Let's take this guy on. But yeah, it's nice and brutal. The story, like I said, is good. One of the complaints one of my flatmates actually had while he was observing me play, where he had a little go, was that it's not actually really that Lord of the Ringsy. It's just set in the same universe. There's a couple of the same characters in the game, but other than that, it is essentially something that's quite foreign to would-be Lord of the Rings fans. But then again, it's not trying to be that. It's called Mordor. No, sorry, it's called Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. It's not called Lord of the Rings. So I would say that's not an issue for me, but I can't speak, obviously, for everybody. But what you are getting yourself in for is one of the surprise games of the year. I have to admit, I wasn't exactly I wouldn't say I was not looking forward to this game, but it wasn't so much on my radar. But I've definitely been enjoying it very much, and I'm very glad to have got this review copy, because of course it is a review copy that was given to me by Warner. I'm interested in seeing what the kill's like, but this is how you gain the intel. So you can see now I can pick someone to actually gain intel on. So I don't know this guy, and now I know exactly who he is and where to find him. They will sometimes have a little fight as well, and then one guy will kill the other, and then basically they all move up through the ranks and things like that. So we've got ourselves another room. Bang. So, should you play Shadow of Mordor? I definitely think it's a yes. Especially if you're a fan of the Batman games, because the combat system is different enough in the sense that all the animations are different with different weapons. Animations across the board, by the way, are incredibly smooth. Everything just works, which is something that shows that this game has had an awful lot of polish, and the PC version as well is very good. There are these towers you see here that are the ones that you respawn, and they act as almost like the waypoints or viewpoints that you have in Assassin's Creed, where you synchronize, reveal the map, and you see there's one in every single one. Now there's a lot of side missions as well, so I don't think you get too bored of this game. How long it will take, I would guess it would probably take you about 15 hours for the sort of standard gameplay playthrough, with a couple of side missions and all the story. But if you want to do everything, then you're probably looking between 20 and 25. The map itself is quite a fair amount of variety, but it is obviously Mordor, so it's not, you know, there's variety, but it's still pretty bleak and pretty horrible, to be honest. There's also stuff to collect and things to do. You've got these special missions here, which are the war chiefs and the captains will be having like a party or something, and then you'll just break that, or they'll be having a duel, or stuff like that. So the world kind of feels alive, so to speak. It's quite nice. Other than that, there's not that much else to do other than just the side missions, the main missions, going around killing people, and then a couple of the other collectibles. But I definitely would say I'm having a very good time with it. I've played about 7 hours so far, and I have to admit I've pretty much enjoyed every single second. I have very little I can fault with it. Everything just seems to work nicely, and it just seems to be very good gameplay. You can also mount one of the I can't remember what they're called now, but the little warthoggy things, and they can climb and stuff, so that all works quite nicely. So, thank you so much for checking out this Should You Play? The answer is definitely yes, you should be playing this game. I still get the occasional comment about why I do a Should You Play rather than a full review or Should You Buy or stuff like that. It's just because obviously things change. Games are, you know, should you buy a game at full price? Should you buy a game at half the price? You know, when does that happen? That's why I just like to have a series, Should You Play, and let you know whether the game is actually any good, rather than having to actually give it a review score and then compare it against games that realistically are going to be completely different, and I don't think a score really justifies how good an actual game is. Can I do the Shadow Strike? No. So yeah, definitely you should be playing this game if you have any interest in Lord of the Rings franchise, or you just want a game that's a little bit different, because it is quite unique, although it does use very similar features to Batman, and some people have said Assassin's Creed, but other than the fact that there's a climbing system and that kind of leap of faith-esque thing with the towers, I wouldn't say it's that different. So thank you very much for checking out this video. If you have any questions about the game, leave it in the comments below and I will answer your questions. And other than that, there's not much more to say than thank you for checking out this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this and others on PCs, gaming and technology. And I will see you in the next video.